with a yo-ho-ho, it's Tale of the Toaster playing for some mystery team here. And in this episode, we're going to take a look at how the Raimon versus Royal match came to a close. Yeah, so, you know how I complimented the last episode for being really well-paced, giving us almost an entire match within the space of one episode. It never felt rushed at any point or bogged down. Yeah, this is kind of why I'm reviewing the match episodes one by one and not just reviewing Raimon versus Royal as a whole. Because episode 1 was great. That was perfectly paced with its storytelling and it all fit in very nicely. And the second half of the Royal match, oh, the pacing is at its very worst probably. And it wouldn't have been as well had they just been a bit more mysterious about it. But the problem with this episode, sorry to start on such a negative note, they open this match with Sonny looking at the timer on his wristband and there's 5 minutes left in the match. And I'm sat here thinking, 5 minutes left in the match. How far into this episode am I? Oh, 10 seconds. So not much of this match is going to be the match against Royal Academy, clearly. This is going to get wrapped up within the first half of the episode, and then we'll have the second half dedicated to maybe some character development or something like that. But I'll tell you right now, no, not at all. This is just as jam-packed with Raimon versus Royal as the previous episode, if not more so. And you kind of meant to believe that this happens within 5 minutes, but it's literally impossible. This episode is best enjoyed if you absolutely ignore that frame at the beginning that says, oh, there's 5 minutes to go. That doesn't exist. That never happened. You just got to pretend, yeah, we've got about 35 minutes left, and we'll see how it goes from there. The first of the many things to happen within these 5 minutes is Mr. Yi initiating the foosball tactic. Foosball, of course, meaning table football in various other countries. Some people call it foosball, some people call it table football. This is localized in America, so they're going with foosball. And yeah, like, it's a bit of a bold strategy. I actually kind of like it, because like table football, you can't move your football players outside of their designated area. Like, they're stuck where they are. So Mr. Yi's like, what if I translated this into a football team? And my answer would be, it would probably suck. Like, just having your football players not able to move freely doesn't sound like the greatest idea to me. But yeah, it's laid out. They don't even realise it's a special tactic when they're training it in this kind of nice flashback montage. It's especially good because we actually get to see Mr. Yi playing football for the first time. We didn't even know he could do that. But yeah, that's it. You've got your grid, and if you leave it, then you failed. So you just got to pass to someone else. Do what you can within your space. It sounds like a rubbish tactic to me, and it's apparently meant to be a energy conserving type of thing and making people more focused. I mean, I don't know why you need to conserve energy in the final 5 minutes of the match, but again, you know, that was a throwaway thing. It's actually a lot more than that. Yeah, it kind of works. Like, it only has an impact for a couple minutes of the episode or so. Like, they're following it to the letter. Caleb Stonewall actually acts in character for once and tries to take the ball from his own teammate, David Sanford, to go for a shot. But then, when it seemed like he's acting in character, he immediately stops, because then in comes Nino and Sonny to just immediately take the ball from him. So he had the personality for a moment, he just didn't have the talent that we've come to know from Caleb Stonewall, and that's a bit of a shame, but that was kind of how they resolved the foosball tactic working. It's kind of ignored from this point on. Naturally, it does resolve with Basil scoring with a fire tornado again. Are you sick of this move yet? But yeah, like, it goes straight past Grotley Bogwash, who is apparently still here. Like, that's his first appearance in the episode. And yeah, even the commentator and Jude Sharp from the crowd are able to work out that it's supposed to be foosball. And I'm like, is it that obvious? I wouldn't have thought it was that obvious. If Jonathan Pierce in a real BBC match came out with, oh, I think they're emulating a table football style strategy, then they'd probably laugh him off. But hey ho, apparently it was obvious and a successful tactic that is now done. So if you forgot about Grotley Bogwash, did you also forget about the cleats since last episode? Yeah, now with like -7 minutes left on the clock, Raydark think it's finally time to turn these into overdrive mode. And this is just full-blown cheater mode, where we're both kind of cheater. Yeah, it's a cheating cheater. Let's try that one. But yeah, everyone goes into overdrive. They can move really quickly now. Something's made up to do with air resistance. So, oh, when the foot moves back, now you don't need your air resistance on that anymore. So you can just move at whatever pace you like. And it's definitely cheating, but like, just it's apparently legal, so just allow it. The players on Royal Academy didn't so much agree with that. Basically, the chain of events while they're using the hyperdrive boots, you know, Nathan says, "Prepare to do the royal runaround," even though that's a defensive tactic and they're already in possession of the ball, so that would be actually useless, beyond useless. We even see one of the players actually do breakthrough in the anime for what might be the first time. I don't really remember it appearing in the OG, but poor old Valentine is the one that gets the football to the stomach. And yeah, just in case you thought the foosball tactic was still in play, they're about to take a shot and Sonny goes from the forward position all the way back to the goal to make a last minute block. So yeah, no more special tactic. We're back to playing as we would before. It's at this point that Basil Hardy just kind of walks up to Caleb Stonewall and David Sanford and just blatantly calls them cheaters for using the boots. And surprisingly, like, Caleb actually feels bad. Like, the next time you see him in an interaction, he completely messes up his play because he feels guilty about using these boots. And it's like, would the Caleb from season 2 and 3 have felt like that? I would have thought he'd be quite willing to use these boots, especially as they are within the legal rules. But no, he quits the match, and it's, you know, it's about as realistic of quit as every time you've heard someone on Twitter say, "I'm going to quit playing Smash Brothers now," or compare that to whatever game you play. The online world is full of quitters that then come back the following week. But Caleb Stonewall has to do that within 5 minutes because he feels guilty about the boots, so he just stops playing, even though, again, there should be like 12 seconds left on the clock at this point anyway. But then what's weirder is, like, I already feel like Caleb's kind of acting out of character here, but then when he's opening up about how guilty he feels about using the boots, that's when Nathan Swift comes in to defend Raydark's decision and remind everyone there's no rule that says you can't change your cleats. As long as they're not designed to actively harm the other player, they're okay. And that's your full confirmation that, yeah, they're not going to be punished for these things. They're apparently legal somehow. Clearly everyone should be using these things. But yeah, like, when Caleb Stonewall has a moment of morality and Nathan is the one still being following along with Raydark, I think it's kind of a callback to, you know, the arc that Nathan would have gone down in season 2 had we been in that timeline, where he would have felt overpowered by the aliens and then eventually joined side with the villains to do the Dark Emperor's stuff as its captain. And yeah, I like that we don't lose that side of Nathan. He doesn't have to be a good guy. It's good that when he's free from his best mate Mark Evans, he's actually quite willing to bend the rules a little bit. So I think he's right at home in Royal Academy, and I do enjoy it. But when Nathan is more immoral than Caleb Stonewall, something's gone wrong here. It doesn't matter though, because David Sanford walks in and backs Nathan up on the same thing, and he's like, "No, I agree, I want to take these boots off as well." So he's like, "Well, okay then." And even Raydark just kind of lets it happen. So I'm like, oh well, there goes the end of your strategy. It doesn't matter because this match is going to end in a draw in the next 2 seconds anyway. Now, what we unintentionally see here is a real-world football tactic. The kind that you wouldn't want Inazuma to represent, because it's not necessarily a good aspect of football. But one of the most common time-wasting strategies when you're a real coach is, if you're in a position to win or you're happy to settle for a tie, then when you're in the 91st minute or whatever, just waste those extra minutes by making a substitution. And that's actually what Raydark does, because surely we're in like the 91st minute by now or something at least. And finally, Grotley Bogwash, the useless goalkeeper, is substituted for Joseph King, the one we know and love, and is actually just one of the best goalkeepers in the series. Again, it's too late. Like, at this point, he shouldn't even get the chance to save the ball, and it doesn't really work to Ray's detriment, because again, Grotley's kind of... he's only really here because his dad's rich and he owns the company that allegedly hired Ray Dark, which may be something to do with how he got out of prison. You know, if I were Ray Dark, I would let the final minute of the match play out and not try to annoy this rich dude wherever he is. But no, he takes Grotley off in the final whatever, and Joe King finally comes on to see if... Joe King... Have I never got that joke before? He's called Joe King. Inazuma 11 never fails to surprise me. I've played these games since 2011 and I just got the name Joe King. Oh my gosh. Anyway, Joseph King, as they usually call him in the games, which is why I didn't clock on to the obvious joke. He does get a chance to make a save in the 115th minute or whatever, because Basil has gone for his third fire tornado of the match. I'm starting to get ready for something new from him at this point. And he brings out a move called Savage Beast Fang. And it's at this point where I think, is that a new move? Or is that just a mistranslation from the dubbing team? Because in your normal timeline, Joseph King plays for Royal Academy Redux, Caleb Stonewall's introductory team, and he will learn Beast Fang, one of the strongest goalkeeping moves. He summons a beast, then clamps it down, and then suffers real physical recoil damage, and it hurts the user to use it. And Emperor Penguin #1 is the other one of those moves that David Sanford uses as a shot. So I had to check when I watched the episode for the first time, did they just get the name wrong? Because it doesn't look that different. I like the new intro where he looks kind of possessed and then just gets summoned by the beast to then do the same shot as save as before. But yeah, I checked the Japanese and it was called High Beast Fang in that one. H-I-G-H, not Hi Beast Fang, how you doing? Yeah, so it is a new move. I guess new, you know, it's not like an evolution of Beast Fang. You either have Beast Fang in Season 2 or you have Savage Beast Fang in Ares. This one is a little better, and maybe that's just something to do with the animation quality jumping a few years ahead, but I do like that kind of possession style at the start. And Ray Dark just doesn't even seem to care that his players have gone against him. He's like, it's awakening their instincts. And you know, it's good that he's the all-seeing guy that he always is, but this has definitely not been Ray Dark's most insightful performance compared to what we've seen from him before. But also, apparently Twin Boost is in this match. I completely forgot about it because, you know, I've kind of spent this whole match waiting for Caleb Stonewall to do something. He does actually do a two-player shot with David Sanford on the Twin Boost. It doesn't go in, like it's enough to break through Sandra's splash guard, which has worked a grand total of 1 time so far. But in comes Trevor Cook. He's finished his stamina problems and he just absolutely Captain Falcon knee of justices the ball out of the way. Like, look at that picture. That is so Captain Falcon's forward air. Just oosh, gets it out of there. That's the revelation that I'm not wearing the matching shorts for this costume. Whoops, I wasn't planning on on that far ahead. I do have the full kit, but I guess that would be spoilers for something. I don't know what I'm wearing. This is just a blue shirt that I found, right? Yeah. How many minutes are left on this match again? Well, apparently we have time for another flashback, would you believe? Because Sonny's like, I'm going to try a new tactic in the 127th and a half minute. And it feeds back to Mr. Yi allowing the Raimon players into the Flash training facility. This is the same kind of underground training facility that we saw in Season 1 and the games, but now he's remodeled it to look all traditional Chinese, and it looks really good. We don't see much of what happens in there, just that's your explanation. They do training, and that is why when they allow Royal Academy to do another Emperor Penguin #2, the 3 defenders, I will say, because it's actually Cesar, a midfielder, Nino a midfielder, and Kiko, the one defender other than Cliff who already has a defensive move. And not that I like Twister Trap, but yeah, these three have apparently been working on a collab defensive move. It comes pretty out of nowhere, but at least it was preempted by a slight training montage, so I'll allow it. It's hard to know who to attribute it to. It's called Gravity Cage, and it just sucks the ball into a void. It's really, like, advanced stuff for this early into the season, but just gotta let it slide. And by the power of the three people making this Gravity Cage, they can absorb the Emperor Penguin 2 and remove it from existence. But who do you attribute it to? Like, out of the three people using it, only one of them is a defender, and that's Kiko, but he's one of the only players on Raimon to already have a defensive special move. And then you've got Cesar and Nino, who are both midfielders, but they also haven't done anything this season so far. This is the most they've ever contributed to a match, and I can say for sure they won't be contributing much else for quite some time to come. Cesar in particular, this is basically it for him until like the rest of the season plays out. So I kind of like to attribute the move to him, but also, you know, I completely forgot about this move straight after it happened, to be honest. So when I was waiting for Cesar to do anything in this season, I didn't even remember that he was involved in this in the first place. But yeah, it's an OP blocking move. They initiated it on purpose so that they could then pass back to their goalkeeper. Then we get the move that genuinely irritates me. So again, let it be said, if this were a real football match, we're probably on the 145th minute by now. So much has happened in this 5-minute period, and we're going to get the most groundbreaking one of those yet. We have not just learned a 3-person defensive move, we've learned a 3-person offensive move as well. And it's between Sonny, a forward, Basil, a forward, and Sandra, the goalkeeper. Alright, so we've done this before with Inazuma Break. Sometimes the goalkeeper likes to get involved in a shot, but this one, oh, it really riles me up. First of all, it's spoiled in the title of the episode. This episode is literally called Emperor Penguin versus Polar Bear. So, right, well, we're going to get some kind of special move about polar bears at the end, apparently. And yeah, the move is called Polar Bear number 2. Where was Polar Bear number 1? Clearly they're just trying to copy Royal Academy down to the nose. And yeah, it's this frosty move. Should have had Valentine in it for starters. Like, he's already got, you know, his ice-based long... Like, it makes even more sense now. Valentine's special move is a long pass that freezes the ball. And this is a long shot from frozen time. Why is Valentine not in it? That doesn't make any sense at all. Why should it be Sonny and Basil? It should absolutely be Sandra, Valentine, and someone else to pull this one off. But no, the actual ice-themed player is not involved, and instead the light guy and the fire guy and the watery goalkeeping girl just summon this polar bear. They all hit the ball at the same time, and they are literally in their own goal. They are at the furthest possible point of the pitch. They're right here. They initiate the shot, just right to the other end of the pitch in one go. Like, how? First of all, where did they learn to shoot like that? Like, Sonny doesn't have a shooting special move at this point. Basil's just got Fire Tornado, and Sandra's not done anything other than goalkeeping. They learned a move like this, and they're only just trying it now. And it doesn't just go in the goal, it breaks through Savage Beast Fang, one of the best goalkeeping moves going, and they literally did it from across the entire side of the pit. If you've got a move like this, you don't need any others. This is insanely overpowered. You could score a goal from anywhere at any point just by catching the balls. It's ripping off Emperor Penguin. It uses the wrong players. It's overpowered. It's also too powerful to believably be learned at this point in time. It's at the end of a so-called 5-minute mark of play, when really we should be on 157 by now. I can't think of anything I like about it. This is quite firmly an F tier shooting move for me. But it beats Savage Beast Fang and Raimon win the match against Royal Academy. And it's such a flat way to go out, because I wouldn't have cared if Royal Academy actually won the match, or if it, best of all, ended in a draw. That was kind of the outcome I was hoping for. Add a bit more suspense and reward both of the teams for doing so well. But no, just this absolute gimmick of a move wins it for Raimon, and it's all thanks to Mr. Yi and all of that. Nah, not happy. And then Ray Dark, he doesn't even seem to mind that he lost. This is the same guy that had a 40-year winning streak and would go to the bother of attempted murder on children for the sake of winning football matches. And now it's like, I guess they scored with this polar bear number 2 thingy. Well, at least Royal Academy have lifted their spirits and they're free, and now they can get better. Who is this guy? This isn't the real Ray Dark. Like, yeah, they had good tactics with the cleats, but it didn't go very well. And now Ray Dark, having lost to Raimon 3 times in a row, Royal, then Zeus, then Royal again, yeah, he's just doesn't seem to care anymore. And now he's lost within not even the final stages of the regional qualifiers for the Football Frontier. This is a bad loss for Ray Dark's career record. And it still continues to sour things even more, because Royal have lost the match. That's bad for them, but they have one finishing note where they're like, well, at least we worked against Ray Dark, who again was quite willing to let them go against him because they know he's a common enemy that they could bond over. But then, after they've done that betrayal and they're proud of themselves, Nathan Swift again, just Ray Dark fanboy number 1, he comes in and says, guys, you know you could have switched to those regular cleats at any time. Sanford and Caleb are just like, what? So even now we're still being played by Ray Dark after we made our own decisions? So the summary here is, after such a good effort from Royal, they can be cheated at the last second by a long shot from the goal. They can make their own freeform decisions, but apparently Ray Dark planned for it anyway, despite the fact that he lost. And Nathan Swift knew about it the whole time and he just didn't care to let on. So, I loved the previous episode. It was going so well, and obviously I still like this because it has its good moments. There is no such thing as a bad episode of Ares, but this is one of the worst, off memory at least. I'm so glad that I was able to give an unbiased review of episode 9, because the way I review these, I watch the episode, record the review. I watch the next episode, record the review. So I recorded all of the last episode before I even watched this episode, and having kind of forgotten most of what happens, I was set up for such a satisfying conclusion to the second half of the Royal match. I forgot how actually quite badly it plays out. Yeah, I was not too much of a fan of this one. But that is why I have a YouTube comment section. What do you think of the final 5 minutes of Raimon versus Royal Academy? Can you ignore the pacing that they set out at the start? Maybe you like Polar Bear number 2. Is Gravity Cage? What's the thoughts on that? Caleb Stonewall in particular, I feel like he was out of character, and you know, if he was trying to get selected for some kind of national team of the best people in Japan, I don't really think he's done enough to get picked. He scored 1 goal as part of a 3-man shot, and otherwise just didn't do anything. He didn't do any midfielding, and he is a midfielder, and that was, you know, he was one of the few guys in Season 3 to actually be a proper midfielder instead of someone who played in midfield but mainly just blocked shots or went on the attack. Yeah. Man, I better stop before I complain anymore. Let me know your thoughts on this episode in the comments, and I will see you in another one.